Massacring a source of fiber is not a bad euphemism for pooping.
Virginia, what is good? Woo. It is an absolute delight to be back here in this city, in this state, for another show. Sorry about that. Kelly's saying she's tucking in the baby, and it's going well. Great, awesome. Thank you all so much for coming out to the show. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it out tonight. Second time I'm performing here. Last time I was here, I had marketed it as the DC show because it was like a rescheduling of that and everything. So to make it up to Virginia, because I knew I was in Virginia, not really DC, I dressed as the state flag of Virginia. What I've done tonight is the flip, because I marketed this one all as the Vienna, Virginia. So instead, I've gone with the white pants, red shirt to be the DC flag, but also and this is just gonna be for the podcast people, unless someone took a really long flight, the Vienna and Austrian flags are also red and white. So to flip it over to that, I have now done the opposite of last show. We've gone full circle and we're here for the Vienna, Virginia show round 2. And I'm very excited about this show because these chapters we're covering are very fun and spicy. And I think we should get into the fun and into the spice. So please help me welcome to the stage our guest for this show, someone who I would very much describe as fun and spicy. Please make some noise for Johnny Frohlichstein! Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, thank you.
Fun and spicy?
Fun and spicy.
Look, no one's ever called this spicy before.
How's it going, bud?
It's great. Someone on the wall back there in Sharpie wrote, "Don't sweat the petty things, just pet the sweaty things." And I have no earthly idea what that means.
Words to live by? Question mark?
Perhaps words to not live by?
Maybe, maybe not. I have realized that we forgot to tell the people to put a small table between us to rest my laptop. If anyone working here could quickly do that, that would be awesome. If not, I will put my laptop on my lap like the name suggests. Now, before we get into these chapters here, we're going to be doing the second half of chapter 17, and I think all the way through 20, which is going to be really fun. Yeah, oh my God, I know, right? They're short, but we're gonna try to make it work. Real quick, couple things at the top. The last time we did a live show was the first 2 chapters in New York. I offhandedly guessed that Hazel was a child of Hades, which I feel very proud about now. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Give it up to Keegan.
If somebody from the staff could drop $300 in my lap.
Other thing, in that chapter, you had the thing when Raina said that she didn't know who Percy was, and then Percy just did his instinctual thing of like, that's not true. And like, now that makes sense given what I've read. And that also explains why she like made like a choking noise when she heard Percy's name. This is the world of, I was doing the production work on Sherry's edit for chapters 1 and 2 as I was prepping for this show, and I was like, oh, the timing, it's all working, and Johnny's the guest. So we're gonna continue with our coverage of chapter 17. So where we last left our heroes, we had Hazel rowing on a boat to an island, and then a raven was like, tonight's the night. So we learned that 50 yards from shore is where the bird landed. So Hazel uses this as self-motivation to push herself to the island. She arrives, and she follows the path that her and her mom have carved over the months. So clearly been here a couple of times. The island is full of natural dangers like bears and magical dangers like humanoid spirits. So super fun, good vibes all around. She approaches a tunnel that she calls the entrance to the heart of the earth. It is a warm and very earthy place inside, so this reeks of Gia.
Yeah. Reeks of Gia.
Reeks of Gia. It's like a bad perfume.
Yeah.
Reeks of Gia.
Are you wearing Reeks of Gia?
Oh my God, is that Reeks of Gia? Yes. So she describes this place as the size of a large church cathedral, and she says it's like the St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans.
I was like, yeah, St. Louis. And then it was like in New Orleans. And I was like, rats.
Context, John is from St. Louis. But I was actually near that cathedral recently. I was in New Orleans for a TNO live show, and Kelly went to the Taylor Swift concert. We got beignets at Café du Monde, and that's like right across the street from this cathedral.
Were there more people at the TNO live show or at the Eras Tour concert?
A couple more at the
TNO live show.
Yeah, it was raucous. You'll hear it on the podcast. So the walls are covered in glowing moss, and Hazel can hear just some sound that sounds like a heartbeat, which just never good. Never like, oh, fun. Like, no, the walls are thumping, not great. And
just you wait in this book series. Oh my.
Ooh. She believes that this place is alive, and she believes that Gia wants to consume her identity. Hazel can hear her whisper, "You all belong to me. Surrender. Return to the earth." And Hazel thinks, no. And she then sees her mom standing over the pit, which I believe at this point was just established. I didn't know that there was a pit, but the way narrator Hazel was like, oh yeah, my mom's over the pit. And I'm like, hold on, what pit? We haven't met a pit yet.
Bro, you don't know about the pit?
I don't know the pit. Like,
you didn't hang out at the pit in high school?
I did not hang out at the pit in high school. I didn't do much of the hanging out in high school. I lived like a 45-minute drive away from my high school, so I usually just had to like go home after high school.
Yeah, the pit was a lot closer to the school.
Hazel, as the narrator, notes that her mom looks much older, even though they've only been here for about 6 months. Her mother snaps out of it for a bit to warn that it's too late, and then asks what she's done. You know, like, what have I done? What have I done to you, Hazel? And now it is for sure established that not only is there a pit, but there is something inside the pit. So I wrote in my notes, I bet this will be Alcyonius. And lo and behold, we will see.
How confident are you in that pronunciation, Alcyonius? Because I was not when I was rereading this, to be clear.
I feel like that in the most recent Dr. Moya episode, she said it like that. Anyone fact check? Yeah, got some nods. Great. Good enough for me. If I learn months from now that it's been wrong, whatever. It'll be fun. People like when I get stuff wrong. Now,
Dr. Moya, great Alcyonius.
Nice. Well done. Well done. Narrator Hazel says that they've been coming here for months, about 4 to 5 times per week at the request of The Voice. Hazel would beg and...
The TV show, the hit Fox TV show, The Voice. Yeah. She has a big mask on. Yeah.
That's a different show. That's The Masked Singer. Ryan C.
And Simon Cowell's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Beautiful. All right. Hazel would beg and plead. But The Voice, lowercase t, lowercase... No, I think they do capitalize it. Damn it. Anyway. She would beg and plead, but The Voice would not relinquish control. The Voice demanded that Hazel bring valuables from the earth, and for her to, quote, bring my most valuable possession to me. And again, I'm thinking, this really feels like Alcyonius. At first, it's just valuables in this tar puddle. Eventually, a spire emerges and slowly progresses each day with Hazel's focus. And I was like, Spire, I know what this is cooking up. And at this particular...
Wait, what's it cooking up?
Oh, it's cooking up a giant.
Oh.
At this particular visit, it is now 2 stories high. Hazel can't see it, but can tell that a body made of silver and gold is forming with oil for blood and diamonds for a heart. And based on the tiny little descriptions of Alcyonius that we've gotten, this feels very much like him. And this body is almost ready to wake. Hazel's mom apologizes. Hazel wants to say that sorry isn't good enough for all she's done to her, but can't force the anger out. She consoles her mother and asks what she can do to stop it.
Alcyonius kind of sounds like a CEO of Exxon or something.
Oh, like Albert C. Onious.
Yeah. Albert C. Onious. Yeah, with oil for his blood and silver for his body.
I thought you meant just because of the name.
Oh, that too.
Also, yeah. Oil for blood and a diamond for a heart.
He's the CEO of BP.
Now, Hazel's mom says it's too late, otherwise the Voice wouldn't have stopped her control. Hazel asks if she's gone, mom says no, and there is one last thing that she asks for, but it requires her free will. Narrator Hazel then says, quote, Hazel didn't like the sound of that, and I said, yeah, because it's gonna be you. Hazel says that they should leave because the thing in the spire looks ready to hatch. And her mom, with a rare, loving and concerned look in her eyes, says, soon. And goes on to explain that Pluto warned her that her wish was dangerous. Hazel asks what wish, and her mom says that it was for all of the wealth under the earth. And she tried summoning him with a gree spell on a whim, and it worked. He then wooed her, calling her brave and beautiful. And I kind of like that Pluto gets summoned, and then like it just happened to work. You would think he'd be angry, like, who summoned me here? But he just shows up and he's like, oh, hubba, hubba. Wait,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It was,
Lucky me,
you were
summoned by
like this. You are brave and beautiful. When Hazel was born, he granted her any wish that she desired, and she said that she wanted all the riches that he had. And he warned,
More wishes.
Yeah.
Gotta be more wishes, not more riches.
Gotta be more wishes. He warned that the greedier the wish, the greater the sorrow. But the mother insisted, and she wanted to live like a queen, but then Hazel got the curse. So Hazel becomes emotional. Her mom says that this is how Gia got to her. She was mad at Pluto, her, but not herself. Sorry, hold on. What am I saying here?
Okay, while you're figuring this out,
Yeah.
I can't hear the word Spire. We both lived in Houston, Texas, and I can't hear the word Spire without thinking about Spire, which was a club in Houston, Texas, in an old church, and it was the worst place in the world.
I'm so glad I never went here.
Yeah.
Where was this place?
It was downtown in this like old former church, and it was still totally decked out like a church, but it was a club, and it was called Spire. And again, as you can imagine, it was not a place that someone who's never been called spicy spends a lot of time.
So here's what happened. This is how she got to her. Her mom was mad at Pluto, and she was clouded by bitterness, and she just admits that all of this was foolish. Hazel asks, okay, how can we stop her? And Gia's voice says that her eldest child rises and cannot be stopped. So she says that there's only one thing left to do. Hazel screams that she won't help her anymore. Gia says that she doesn't need her help anymore. And she says that she was only brought here to incentivize her mother, which I thought, okay, what is this like last final wish thing? And now I'm thinking, all right, maybe not sacrificing Hazel, but maybe her mom sacrificing herself. That's what it seems like. The mom apologizes and explains that Gia said that she would let Hazel live if, and then Hazel finishes the thought. Gia chimes in to say that Alcyonius will form an army and attack Olympus while the gods are divided fighting the mortal world war. And I was like, oh, right, we're still doing that whole thing. And at least it made me feel better because it got revisited a couple of chapters ago. And I was like, do we really need the world war thing? Like, I don't like having to think about like demigod Nazis and stuff. Like, So I am glad that at least there's like a plot purpose that makes sense with the timeline of everything for why it's coming back. Because the chapters leading up to it, I was like, I thought we had very conveniently just not paid attention to this being the justification for World War II.
The gods must be plenty distracted these days. Sad.
Yeah, let's move it on. Gia makes images of Nazi armies and Japanese bombing appear on the wall. And I was like, okay, Pluto, what if you just didn't choose that side? Like, is this so? But I don't want to get bogged down. But it feels like, maybe, I don't know, regardless.
I like that she made it appear on the wall, though. Like, Gia's just projecting a History Channel TV show on World War II. Yeah.
Gia blames all of this on the wish of Hazel's mom. And her mom calls for Hazel to leave quickly to honor the deal, which Hazel knows Gia will keep. Hazel doesn't want to live knowing that she played a part in the world ending, so she decides that she's going to flip the script. She focuses her power and calls on Pluto to make all of the riches possible rise, and the pool of oil bubbles wildly. Gia tries to stop her, saying that they'll both die, so she will just be giving away her life for nothing.
And Hazel's like, yeah, I get that. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why I'm
aware
doing
of the
why I'm
situation.
doing what I'm doing. I'm well ahead of you, Miss Gia.
Hazel nearly falters when she recalls the time that Pluto told her a descendant of Neptune would end her curse, and also him saying that she may find a horse of her own. And I was like, right, the horse from earlier. But I also like that she's thinking of like, Pluto said that there's this thing that might save the curse in me. And also, I might get a cool horse.
Yeah.
Do I want to die?
Horse girls.
Cool
horse girls.
Horse.
Classic.
I would love to cash in on that horse that I've been promised. She thinks about how she would never see Sam again, and her life will have been 13 rough years, and then that's it. A sad ending on top of just a tough time. Her mom looks at her with pride and says that she, Hazel, was her gift, and she, her mom, was foolish for thinking that she needed anything else.
I just want to tell you right now, my trap door is like sagging with the weight of the spoilers inside of me right now. It is unbelievable the level of spoilers inside me right now.
I'm glad that we're going to be able to do the other chapters in this live show. Otherwise, it's just like Mike talks about things that are going to be resolved later.
Yeah.
And Johnny goes, hello, Virginia. Yeah.
I'm like, I think I have a fever right now.
So she kisses Hazel and embraces her, and Hazel has the instinctual feeling that this will work. It will halt Gia's plan, since they will die, but they won't die as sacrifices, and that clearly was a key part of this whole situation. She, as the narrator says, quote, their souls would go to the underworld, and Alcyonius would not rise, at least not yet. And I was like, you're right about that. Hazel uses her last bit of energy to bring in even more jewels at high speeds. Gia tries to stop them, saying that this will only delay his rise, and asks if throwing their lives away for that is really worth it. And then we get from the narrator, Hazel gave her an answer. And Hazel thinks how, that raven who kept ominously saying tonight's the night, they were right.
Yeah.
And the chapter ends with, quote, the fissure exploded, the roof crumbled. Hazel sank into her mother's arms, into the darkness as oil filled her lungs, and the island collapsed into the bay.
That raven's over there singing, I Got a Feeling.
It's a very emotional, tough, dramatic chapter, and it was definitely a gut punch, but at least we know, like, all right, well, Hazel does come back and everything, but, like, it's tough. At age 13 to pull that off, wild. Like, not only having the understanding of how to thwart the plan, but to be okay with the situation enough to be like, yeah, this is it for me, but I know it's for the greater good. Very awesome.
It was also like very beautiful writing from Uncle Rick in this chapter. I don't know, like I was rereading this earlier and just like getting chills. I think this chapter is like some of his best work broadly.
Yeah, it was really nice. I felt very captivated when I read it. Now I have, of course, retitled chapter 17, I Drink Bubbling Hot Oil. Do you have a retitling?
I save the world by setting up a Swarovski jewelry store.
Sure. Now let's get into chapter 18. It's also called Hazel. We'll also retitle it. So Frank wakes Hazel back up because remember, she was blacked out while all of this was going down. And it's perfectly timed. Chiron has taught Frank well.
Yeah.
It is night. They are out of the boat. She sees that they're on a coast near a lighthouse. She asks, where are we? And Frank informs her that they are in Mendocino. They're 150 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. And Hazel is shocked that she's been out for so long. Then Percy kneels beside her, checking for a fever, says that they couldn't wake her. And after enough time, they decided to bring her to shore to try and fix her seasickness. And Hazel explains that it wasn't seasickness, and thinking of Nico warning her that this happening during battle would be bad, decides that she does not want to withhold the truth from them any longer. And I love when everyone's honest with each other, so this makes me very happy as I'm invested in their friendship.
Yeah, Hazel's doing great right now.
Doing very well.
Especially now that we know what she's carrying around. Extremely Team Hazel at this point.
Yeah, great. Very high opinion of her from the start, and it only goes up and up and up.
Yep.
She explains that they are blackouts, which she has from time to time. Frank grabs Hazel's hand, and it startles her in a good way.
Awooga.
Awooga indeed. And he asks if it's medical and why he hasn't noticed before. I like that Frank's instinct is, oh no, like, I'm trying to be a good friend to you, and I also think you're really cute and stuff.
I was going to say, is that feeling in your tummy that you feel right now medical?
He's worried, and I think Frank has good instincts here. He seems like a really good dude. So he asks this, but Hazel says, no, don't worry. I've been very good about hiding this up until now. Kind of hard to hide it when you're on a very small boat, and there's no way to kind of dip out of the situation.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought it was seasickness. Is passing out for like hours a seasickness
Here would be
thing?
my only guess. I don't know exactly Frank's history with boats and stuff, but Percy, being the son of Poseidon, maybe he just thinks like seasickness just wrecks everyone else, and he's like, well, this will never happen to me. I guess this is what happens when people are not the child of Poseidon / Neptune. It's just like, wow, I've heard about seasickness. I had no idea it was this bad. Wow.
You kept saying Poseidon, and I was like, yeah, that's why this book is entitled The Son of Poseidon.
Yeah. I'm trying to, what's a synonym for son that would work to like retitle?
If only there were synonyms for the word son.
I don't know. What's like...
Child.
Yeah, child, but like the spawn of Poseidon.
The spawn.
So dramatic.
That's the naughty fanfic version.
I Googled synonym for son. Google says similar words. Son. Oh,
thanks, AI.
Sorry. Here are some other ones. Sorry. Male child.
Told you.
The male child of Poseidon. Boy. The boy of Poseidon.
The boy.
Descendant. The descendant of Poseidon. Oh, no, here it is. So the next one is the offspring. The last one, this will be the retitling. The lad of Poseidon. Someone did tell me on Instagram that in one of the translations, I think it's the Portuguese edition of the PJO books, because they're doing the like new covers and stuff, and it says like half boy, half god, all hero on, I think, the international editions. And someone was messaging me, I think they're from Brazil, that the Portuguese is like Portugal Portuguese and not necessarily Brazil Portuguese.
Obviously, we all know
on this podcast that I am not the expert here, since I did by accident think that they said gracias for thank you, which is not Portuguese for thank you. But what this person commented and told me is that Portugal Portuguese is like very prim and proper, and the particular word that they used for boy, half god, all hero is apparently more directly, at least in Brazil, translating to lad. So it's half lad, half god, all hero.
Half lad, half gad.
Half lad. Half Josh Gad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Anyway, Percy Jackson. So let's see. Was this all from getting startled in a good way? Wow, what a tangent. So, Hazel says she's been good about hiding this up until now. She says that it's not medical, but it is a side effect from her past, according to Nico. Hazel then sees an intense expression in Percy's eyes, but can't really make it out. And this is clearly Percy being like, how do I know this guy? What's Nico's deal? I love that Percy is always trying to figure this out. He asks, where did Nico find you exactly?
Yeah.
Hazel gets worried because she is afraid that discussing the past will cause another blackout, but she soldiers on because being honest with her team is important to her, and that is a really good instinct. I like this. Really good group dynamics. It is refreshing. I understand that this was just kind of like the plot of the first book, but with Piper not being able to be forthright and Jason just not knowing anything, and Leo, I guess, being a good sport, but like mainly Piper having to keep a secret. Like, it was just very frustrating. I understood why she did it. She's a teenager, tough situation, all that. It's so nice to have a team that's just like super open and honest with each other. It's very nice for me to read.
No more secrets. That's it. They're not going to keep any more secrets from each other the whole series.
Oh, come on.
You're good. You're good. You're in the clear.
Hazel asks if she can have a drink of water before getting into it because she's feeling a little dehydrated, and Percy realizes, I left my supplies on the boat, and he offers to go grab them. He doesn't want to be a bother, so he thinks, look, I'll just go myself. It's all good. And I'm just screaming like, don't split up. Don't split up. Not the most competent fighter. Like, not to be like, send Frank, but like, send Frank. You're like,
yeah, well, for sure. And it's like, she just passed out. Like, we are very vulnerable right now, and there's always baddies on the prowl in this world.
And I get baddies on the prowl wise, but like, maybe we all, there's no true, like, yes, there's a deadline, but like, we can all walk together to get the stuff and come back. Like, it's late. We don't know exactly where we are. Like, come on, let's all go to the boat together. So Percy says, I don't want to be a bother. Frank doesn't want Percy to get caught in danger, but Percy thinks, I'll be okay. And I was like, yeah, you'll be okay, Percy. You're Percy Jackson. Are they going to be okay? I'm not so sure.
But didn't he also notice them kind of holding hands, and that's why he was like, I'll give you two space.
Guy. He's like, you guys go. I'll be good. You just go. You're chill. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that was probably
because without his memory,
chill dude, Percy Jackson. Yeah.
Without his memory, he has exactly one trait, which is that he loves a girl. and so this is perfectly in character. Exactly.
I don't want to be a bad third wheel. Let me be the steering wheel. Hey, yeah. So he finds a way to get out of the situation so that they can get closer. But Frank doesn't want him to get caught in danger. Percy is going to be okay. And then he tells Frank, just keep an eye out because this place gives him bad vibes. Yet he leaves anyway. Come on, man.
Good lad. There's a good lad.
He leaves, and I just wrote my notes. Okay, a monster is definitely coming. Not just because Percy's left, but also like it's been enough chapters where we haven't got like our first big fight yet. So it's gonna come through.
But before that, there'll probably be some exposition conversation if I was a betting man.
Now, once they're alone, Frank seems to only just now realize that they're still holding hands. They've been holding hands this whole time, but he lets go and clears his throat and I'm so sorry. Frank tells Hazel that he thinks he understands her blackouts and where she comes from. And Hazel asks if he really does. She's getting a bit nervous, like, you really think you know? Frank says that she's not like other girls.
You party.
She's a gamer.
Yeah.
But clarifies that she's different, not in a bad way, but in a good way. And
she likes the Smiths.
I mean, kind of.
She's a manic pixie dream girl. Yeah.
He says it's the way that she talks. It's the things that surprise her. It seems like her life happened in the past, like she was born in a different time. And he asks, I just love it. It's like, hey, it seems like you come from a different era. You talk about things differently. Did you come from the underworld?
Yeah.
0 to 100 real quick. And hey, Frank gets it right on the money. And I like that Hazel's reaction is that she is just so relieved that she is brought to tears, not of sadness, but of just pure relief of, oh my God, thank goodness that I don't have to keep this in anymore. It's been such a stressful situation. I like Frank enough. I trust Frank enough. Like, we can just talk about this. And Hazel is just so good in these chapters, like just such a champion of handling all these different things and not being caught up in perception. I just really like her a lot.
This is kind of like, though, when your middle school girlfriend figures out that you're going to break up with her, and you're like, thank goodness, I don't have to do it.
Did this happen to you? This
For
happened to me.
Sure. Because I was obvious. I was not coy about the fact that I was not feeling it.
See, I was always on the receiving end, so I never...
Did you ever figure it out? Did you ever?
It all worked out. We all know where it ended. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're good. Everything's okay. We're all well aware. But yeah, okay. No, well, look, I'll just have to take your word for it. So Hazel is feeling good about this. Not only did Frank speak the truth, but he didn't look terrified while he did it. And that's because Frank also has a wild backstory. And she begins to say something, but Frank stops her. She's, stammering a little bit. He stops her and says that they'll figure it out and they will keep her alive. And I really like that. Somehow, Hazel tells Frank that she doesn't deserve a friend like him because he doesn't know what she's done. And he tells her to stop, and he insists that she's great and that he's got secrets of his own. And he's about to get into those secrets
when Chiron shows up.
Chiron fires an arrow through the plot. Frank notices that the wind around them has stopped, but the grass around them continues to move. And this, obviously, reeks of earthly evil.
Reeks of Chiron.
I don't think Chiron's working with Gia, So the ground is moving, these blades of grass are still moving. Hazel then sees dark shapes in the corner of her eye, and she sees these dark shapes moving through a field. Frank yells out for Hazel and tries to grab her arm, but he's not fast enough. He gets knocked backwards, and then a force, quote, like a grassy hurricane, wraps around Hazel and drags her into the field.
If only we had the best fighter of the group in the fold right now. If only he wasn't trying to be a bro.
The thing that I would love, and maybe this will show up I know there's like the Demigod Diaries or something. I think it takes place in between like this book and the next book or the previous one, whatever it is, release order. I'm going to do it in between books 2 and 3 because I think that's when it came out and that's just safe for spoiler town for me. I would love if there was like a 3-page thing of like what Percy was doing in these 10 seconds. Because I could love it if Percy just like walk into the boat and he's like, man, those two were so cute together. And he's just like pacing like, Nico, Nico.
Yeah.
What's going on? And then he comes back and it's like, I know I left them right here. What's happening? Yeah.
Or they're in like Marin-ish, right? He's at like one of the state parks and he put a quarter in the thing so he can look at the sea. You know? Yeah.
Oh, man. So yeah, I would love like that 2-page thing. But that is the end of chapter 18, which just because they said like a grassy hurricane, I wanted to retitle it A Hurricane of Jacarandas to throw to Encanto. What would you retitle chapter 18?
I don't know, like Frank becomes a man or something, holding hands.
Yeah, sounds good. So now we'll get into chapter 19, which is also called Hazel. Now, chapter 19 begins with, quote, Hazel was an expert on weird. She'd seen her mother possessed by an earth goddess. She'd created a giant out of gold. She destroyed an island, died, and came back from the underworld. But getting kidnapped by a field of grass? That was new. Uncle Rick is cooking. He is cooking.
But that's like also way less weird than those other things. Creating a giant out of gold is way weirder than getting kidnapped.
Let's rank them.
Great
Mother
call.
possessed by an earth goddess? That's pretty high.
Okay, I guess 6
so
out of 10.
right here. Okay. And then giant out of gold.
That's 10 to me.
Okay, that's the highest.
That is very weird.
Destroyed an island. That feels like the lowest.
That's not weird.
That's not that weird.
That's not weird. You can do that with
Dying,
TNT.
the least weird. We all do it.
Yeah,
the
everyone.
least weird.
In fact, that's like people saying, I'm so weird, I love Harry Potter. Yeah.
Don't worry, you're talking to somebody who's actually weird. Because
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Came back from the underworld. Pretty weird.
That's pretty weird.
Is that more weird than creating a giant out of gold? Yes.
No.
I think
Oh.
yes, because the whole thing is like Hades doesn't want to do that. So I think that might be actually, because some people do that. So maybe that's in the books.
How many people have created a giant out of gold?
I mean, so far just the one, I guess. Hera did it out of her pure being and essence. Yeah. So maybe that's like up at the top. But yeah, you're right. On this tier list, Kidnapped by Field of Grass is probably right above
Destroying an Island?
Destroyed an Island. So
Yeah.
it's third from the bottom.
Definitely above Destroying an Island.
Well, look, she does just say that was new. She doesn't say that was the weirdest.
Yeah.
It is just new.
Yeah.
She's an expert on
Implied.
weird. She has a PhD in weird.
Yeah.
but
This
This is from a different subset.
Yeah, she does. She's never studied new before. Just weird.
So she feels like, 1, she's in a funnel cloud of plants. 2, like she's crowd surfing, but the fans are grass and they aren't adoring fans. A big reason why she feels that way is because the plants are cutting her up while this is happening. So at first I was like, okay, it doesn't sound too bad. And then she said they're cutting her a lot. And I was like, okay, we've reached this sucks territory.
This is where, like, I don't know, like, I was always skeptical as a child of, like, the grass Pokemon could really do anything, you know? And now reading this, I'm like, okay, maybe if it's sharp grass,
the fun thing, like, some of the attacks are still cool in the Pokemon, but at least for me, I'm old enough to where my first Pokemon game was on Game Boy Color, and you have, like, the little, like, 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever it is, graphics, and, like, you know, you do, like, Hydro Pump from Blastoise, and it's like, and you do, like, Flamethrower or Fire Blast from
Fire Blast,
Charizard,
the
it's like,
5
it
thing,
does, like, a little stick figure or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you do, like, whatever the leaf one is from Venusaur.
Solar
and
Beam.
it's just like, well, not Solar Beam looks cool because it's like blah, but there's like a big leaf one, like maybe Razor Leaf, and it's just like tiny little leaves are like, wiki.
It's like a Prius
minus
honking.
86 HP. Like, what? I got hit with 4 leaves and a diagonal line.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. Anyway, Percy Jackson. She can tell that she's moving quickly. She tried to focus on riches below the ground to throw off the plants, but nothing comes. And just as she's losing hope, she feels a cold spot pass beneath her. She focuses on it. She's able to unearth whatever it is, and then she goes flying into the air. But thankfully, she has done combat training, falling from giant eagles. So there are some cool things happening at Camp Jupiter. I understand that there's cool stuff happening at Camp Half-Blood. They got a lava rock climbing situation. That's very fun. But basically, skydiving practice, jumping off of flying eagles, that rips. That's pretty cool.
I mean, I guess there is like a right way to fall. Like
Yeah.
if you're, yeah.
I mean, and she proves it because she
13 years
uses
old.
this she uses this training, and then she falls off and then does the thing where you like land and somersault roll, and it's clutch because she was 20 feet in the air. So she does that so that she doesn't get injured. I can only imagine that she yells parkour while she does it.
Yeah.
She then draws her sword and sees a giant rock splitting the waves of grass. And she realizes that she formed it and rushes atop it. The grass hisses in anger, and she yells, "Can't grow on this, can ya? Now go away, you bunch of weeds!" It's great. It's great. It's great.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, the voices coming from the grass say, "Schist! Big pile of schist!" And narrator Hazel says, quote, "A nun at St. Agnes Academy once washed Hazel's mouth with lye soap for saying something very similar, so she wasn't sure how to respond." And at first, because it was such like a comedic sounding thing, I was like, is the grass not evil? Is the grass just misunderstood?
yeah.
We'll learn more about the grass. Now, the kidnappers emerge, and at first Hazel thinks that they look like Cupid babies, but as they get closer, she sees that they are much more sinister. Quote, "They were the size of toddlers with rolls of baby fat, but their skin had a strange greenish hue, as if chlorophyll ran through their veins. They had dry, brittle wings like corn husks and tufts of white hair like corn silk."
He's the least intimidating villains ever. Babies with baby fat, withering wings, and
Then the stringy bits from corn for
yeah,
hair.
no.
Their faces were haggard, pitted with kernels of grain, their eyes were solid green, and their teeth were canine fangs. The largest then steps forward dressed in a yellow loincloth and complains about the schist blocking wheat from growing. The others chime in that sorghum and barley can't grow either. And now I'm realizing at this point, oh, this is Heroes of Olympus's version of the damn snack bar.
That's
where
right.
We're just going to say
That's right.
schist over and over again. And I'm so glad that no one ruined this for me, because damn got ruined for me like the day I launched the podcast.
Just wait till you get to the damn
Like,
part,
that
and they
was
say
ruined
damn a bunch of
and
times.
So I'm so glad this wasn't, because it took me a little bit and then they kept doing it and I was so happy. And it could have been blown for me, and we'll get into it in a second when we learn more about the schist, but I was so delighted while I was reading this. It was so fun. So Hazel thinks that she would find this all more amusing if they weren't Cupid piranhas, basically. She asks if they're referring to the rock, whether they keep saying schist, 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 and they say yes, the greenstone rock is a schist. And I was like, greenstone? Wait a second, I've got a greenstone necklace. Hey-oh! So when I went to do a live show in New Zealand, some fine folks, a group of 4, gifted me this greenstone. I believe it's called a pounamu. But I've talked about this thing and like had pictures of it on social media and stuff, and I'm so glad no one commented like, "Oh, fun fact about your necklace, it's actually relevant." And I would have been like, don't spoil anything for me, please. So small or big, I'm so glad. So I do intentionally, of course, wear it for the show.
Pretty shisty necklace, if you ask me.
No, it's not. Yeah. Is it a positive? Or do I say like, no, this necklace is the schist?
Yeah, there you go. It's not shisty, it is the schist.
So Hazel asks, is it valuable? And they say that natives made jewelry of it, and it might be valuable, but not as much as wheat. And I was like, that's not true. But and the others,
Or way more valuable than wheat in Catan.
oh God. Then the others chime in and they go, or sorghum, or barley, and so on and so on and so on. Now, Hazel guesses that they are servants of Gia, and they say that they are the Karpoi. I'll obviously have to talk to Dr. Moya about this. They are the spirits of the grain. And they were wild before human civilization became around and cultivated them, and they plan to be wild again. Each then yells for which grain will dominate. Wheat is saying wheat, sorghum is saying sorghum. So Hazel gets that each one is a spirit for a different type of grain.
Deeply unintimidating, these villains. I can't get over it.
Now, Wheat, the largest of them, invites Hazel to come down so they can take her to Gia and be rewarded. And I love that he's like, hey, can you just come down so we can just do our evil bidding and we can get our due for taking you in? Like, please, help us out. Come on, don't be a jerk. Don't be rude.
All of the henchmen in this series, I don't know if it was like this in the original 5, but all of the henchmen in the series kind of behave that way, where they're just like, all right, come on with me and die with me.
Yeah, I guess Medea was more of the classic one where like could be good, could be evil, and then then Midas maybe a little bit of that, but at least with like the lower tier ones, like the Ma Gaskets of the world, it's just straight up like, hey,
come on with me, I'm gonna kill you.
Quite clear what's going on.
I feel like the quality of the henchmen on average in this series is much lower so far than in the original 5. Like, there's no Medusa level here.
Yeah, I think we got that with Medea, and that was really the only like big one. But I think on the flip, we have more people to worry about that are big bads immediately. Like when you think about like the big bad of book 2 was Polyphemus, like really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But like book 1, it's like, okay, yeah, you have to fight Enceladus. You have to fight Enceladus, enchiladas for podcast listeners. You have to fight him, and then also Porphyrion, and then also maybe Gia, like, and that's book 1.
Yeah.
And now we're getting this where it's like we got to deal with Polybides, we got to deal with Alcyonius, we might have to deal with Gia. Like, I think you've got more.
But those are like bosses. I'm talking about like NPC.
No, I agree.
Okay,
I think what you've got the trade-off, right? Like the lower tier people are worse, but the higher tier people are harder, and there's more of them.
Right, and they have more HP.
Yeah, totally. Now, the grains try to sweeten the deal to make it more appealing to Hazel. So, I don't know, guess like Stevia steps forward. They say, I just thought of that now, I'm so proud of myself. They step forward and go, they will kill you slowly. And Hazel goes, tempting, but no thanks. And then the wheat one steps forward and goes, I will give you wheat. And I do like that he is fully committed to like wheat is the most valuable resource at all. Yeah, to kind of borrow a joke like, oh, if you break off some of this rock and you take 3 of me, you can build a city.
Yeah.
Narrator Hazel then says, quote, as if this were a very fine offer in exchange for her life. Hazel wonders how far she is from the boys, and she sees the Carpoi testing the boundaries of what this rock can do to them. They're scratching the stone and seeing how much it hurts them. So Hazel, in a louder voice, in hopes that someone will hear her, says, before she steps down, that she would like to know why they aren't on the side of the gods, since Ceres, or Ceres, who I guess is Roman Demeter, is an Olympian. And Barley is disgusted at the sound of her name, groaning about how she cultivates them and makes them grow in rows and allows humans to harvest them. Hazel chats them up more, asking where Gia's army is. They say just over the ridge, and they also share Gia's instructions, which included capturing Hazel alive and then them marching south with Polybides to attack the camp. And Hazel not only is being really good in these chapters in terms of just like being nice to the team and being forthright with her past and her secrets and stuff, but also she's got a little bit of Piper in her. Like she's tricking the bad guys into giving up the whole deal. Like she's really proven her worth a lot. These Hazel development chapters are really, really solid.
And tricking's not even her superpower, right? That's like literally Piper's thing.
And it's wild because in like the last batch of chapters, I guess even from the beginning, like Hazel proved that she's like very proficient in battle. Like Hazel is just like rising in the competency rankings. Like she's like, look at all this cool stuff that I can do. Also, I'm 13. Like I was not doing anything this powerful at 13. Oh my goodness. I was barely like figuring out how to make my MySpace page look cool. God.
And she's like a full-blown miner.
Hazel tries to learn where Alcyonius has Thanatos chained up. She's like, how far can I go with this? But Wheat then kind of hits Barley to get them to stop giving everything away. And then another yells, multi-grain fighting is not allowed.
I love that. So good.
Wheat says that Hazel will never find the lair. Hazel says she knows where it is, even though this is a lie. She says the island on Resurrection Bay.
She kind of blew it because she had it. She was like, I know where it is. And then she was like, and then she just guessed.
Right.
What are you doing?
You got to at least let them make you say, like at least make them respond like, okay, where is it?
Yeah.
And then she can give the wrong answer.
Right. Don't just give the wrong answer.
Don't just give the wrong, come on, negotiation. But Wheat scoffs and says that island sank years ago. He says that, or I guess Wheat says that she should know that because Gia hates her for it, as it made her slumber again and delayed Alcyonis's rising until, quote, the dark times, which Barley identifies as the horrible 1980s. And I was trying to think, like, is there some sort of bread joke to be made here? Like, was grain worse in the 1980s? Like, is this some sort of commentary? But Wheat adds,
You don't know about the grain commodity markets in the 80s? No,
I wasn't born. Wasn't alive. Wheat adds that he remembers Hazel too, so there is hunger for revenge all around. Hazel is filled with dread because she already didn't want to go to Alaska, but now she has to return to Alaska with no idea of where to look for Thanatos. She thought that the island either would have survived or returned. You know how islands come back.
Well, they did say, wasn't there that guy who was like, there hasn't been an island there in 50 years?
My boat would have crashed into it.
Yeah.
Wheat senses these emotions and implores her to give up. But then Hazel grips her sword and screams, "Never! If I have to destroy you all, I will! I am the daughter of Pluto!" And I like that she is taken charge here. The Carpoi begin to climb the rock, hissing as they do, as if the rock is burning them. Wheat tells Hazel that she will die and feel the wrath of grain. And again, I was like, that does not sound that
Yeah. Oh, darn.
Oh, I'll move it. Yeah.
I have celiac. Oh, no.
I feel like that could be rough.
Yeah.
That could be rough. Narrator Hazel then ends the chapter with, quote, "Suddenly there was a whistling sound. Wheat's snarl froze. He looked down at the golden arrow that had just pierced his chest. Then he dissolved into pieces of Chex Mix."
Yeah.
Great. He's very happy. Like, oh, Frank's in the mix. Great. Fantastic. He's in the Chex Mix. And
Very nice.
It's the end of chapter 19, which I have retitled, "I Feel the Wrath of Chex Mix." Do you have a retitling for chapter 19?
I have like 5.
Lay them on me.
Holy schist, oh schist, we're up schist creek without a paddle, schist hit the fan. Yeah, it's endless.
It's good. That is the end of chapter 19. That is the end of this portion of the episode if you're listening to the podcast after the fact. So let's all say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye, podcast people. Hello and welcome to the Son of Fortune Shubio edition. I am back in New York City after being in Hartford, Connecticut yesterday for a very fun live show. Thank you to everyone who came to that show. And thank you to everyone listening to this little mid-roll break portion of the episode. Let's get into updates and stuff with the podcast. Now, this audio is from a live show that we did a couple months back in the state of Virginia. We've got another show coming up in the state of Virginia at the end of this month, February. This episode's coming out on February 3rd. But we've got some live shows in the very near future. We've got a live show in Baltimore on February 9th. We got a live show in Richmond, Virginia on February 23rd. For both of those shows, the first act will be the newest Olympian. The second act will be Potterless. Sherry's going to be the guest for the Baltimore show. Johnny, the same one in this episode, is going to be the guest for the Richmond show. If you want to see what chapters we're covering, go to the TNO Instagram account, posted it there. But I'm super stoked about those shows. And then all of the other shows that we got going on up until May. I'm currently in the process of booking things in the summer, so hopefully those will be out soon. But if you want to see where we're going and get tickets to those shows, you can go to thenewsolympian.com/live. I believe the shows coming up in February both are all ages shows, which is pretty cool. So head on over to thenewsolympian.com/live to get your tickets. If you were at the Hartford show, you have already seen this. And if you come to any of the upcoming shows, you will see this as well. But we do have new merchandise that I'm in the process of getting onto the merch store. But I have decided to make it a little Patreon perk where if you go to thenewsolympian.com/Patreon, I'll have a little picture sneak preview of what these 2 new merchandise items are, and I'm very excited about them. But you can head on over to the Patreon if you want to see a little preview of it as a little thank you for being a patron. And speaking of thanking and patrons and the Patreon, I want to give a shout out to the folks who've joined the Patreon most recently. Shout out to our newest God tier patron, Mary Elizabeth Breslin, and shout out to our newest demigod tier patron, Emily Gold. Thank you all so much for your support. May Demeter bless you that if you get a sandwich, the bread to stuff ratio in the sandwich is just perfect. Now, if you're all caught up on the News Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you are in luck because I make a bunch of podcasts and I think you'll like them if you like this one. One that I think you would very much enjoy is a show that I co-host with my buddy Adam Amwala, who is a stand-up comedian who is very funny. It is called Horse. It's a basketball podcast, but we present it in a way where whether you know anything or nothing about basketball, you will enjoy this podcast. We talk about current goings on with basketball, like the wild Luka Doncic trade that happened that is absolutely breaking my brain. Or we'll talk about things like the wild WNBA free agency that's going on, but then we'll also talk about NBA and WNBA history. So you can learn wild stories about all of the folks from basketball history that made it the sport it is today. I just did a whole expose. I did a little segment about the first Martin Luther King Day game, which was organized by the players. It was super cool. So if you want to listen to Horse, you can search for Horse wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to our website, horsehoops.com. Now, unless you are listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me
to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me. Others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in Singapore, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in English, Mandarin, Malay, or Tamil, all listed as official languages. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the newest Olympian.
How's it going, everybody? I hope you had a good intermission. I missed you all so dearly. Let's just get into chapter 20, which is also called Hazel, but we will retitle it. Now, this chapter opens with, quote, "For a heartbeat, Hazel was just as stunned as the carboy. Then, Frank and Percy burst into the open and began to massacre every source of fiber they could find." So hyped. Such a good start. Oh, I was already super stoked knowing that they had showed up, but like, what a description to kick things off. Oh, delicious.
Massacring a source of fiber is not a bad euphemism for pooping. Sorry,
I gotta go massacre some sources of fiber.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Hazel joins as well, and the team turns their adversaries into piles of seeds and cereal in no time. Wheat begins to reform. Percy takes out a lighter and says, "Try it, and I'll set this whole field on fire. Stay dead. Stay away from us, or the grass gets it."
One lighter and a whole field of grass, no chance. Have you ever tried to start a fire, Percy? No, because you're a water person. But
yeah, but he is also a teenage boy. You should know how it works.
Yeah.
But I love this. And I also love that Percy said, "Stay away from us," which was similar to what Hazel had said when she was on top of the rock. She was like, "Stay away from me." So I just like that everyone's instinct is like stranger danger of like, no, go away. So fun. And Hazel then decides that she's gonna jump in and this because she says, "He'll do it. He's crazy." Which is great. So as a big improv boy, I very much appreciate her, running with the bit. But also it reminds me of the episode of Hey Arnold where he like stops the bullying by doing the like, "I'm crazy," like just starts acting all weird and hitting himself with trash cans and stuff. Yeah.
Definitely remember that episode.
Whoa.
No, I don't.
It's okay. I mean, I'm 2 years older than you, so that's like right out of that range. You probably watched Johnny Test, Phineas and Ferb. What did you watch?
I watched Hey Arnold.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I just don't remember that episode.
Because you were too young. All right.
Yeah, because my brain was still making its connections,
Anyway, Percy Jackson. They stop reforming the various grains and stuff, and their remnants are whisked away by the wind, so clearly this gambit worked. Percy extinguishes the lighter, grins at Hazel, and applauds her for yelling because that's how they found her. So I appreciate that. Hazel basically was like, I might as well just yell just in case they can hear me, and they did hear her. So
when in doubt.
Yeah, I like more of these just like, well, maybe it'll work strategies in general, and I just appreciate that. It did. You try something. Why not?
I mean, these people are, again, 13. They're flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah.
Well done.
Percy asks how she held them off for so long. Hazel replies, "A big pile of schist." And Percy,
as a result of the fiber or whatever, right? The massacre of fiber, yeah.
And Percy, just like Hazel did to the grains, goes, "Excuse me?" the first time. So there's lots of mirroring between Percy and Hazel, and I really like that. Now, Frank is atop the rock and goes, "Guys, you need to see this." And Percy and Hazel climb up, and Hazel sees what Frank wanted them to see and tells Percy to hide the light from Riptide quickly. And he goes, "Schist," and turns it back into a pen. I like that he's immediately on board.
Yeah.
They have not talked about how it's funny or whatever. He's gone from, "What did you say?" to, "This is my replacement for the S word," just instantly. Gosh.
This was another very cinematic moment to me, Frank being like, "Guys, you're going to want to see this." And you can just imagine the camera panning up over the hill to the army. It's perfect.
First, it shows the ridge and it shows them getting up on top of it. Then it pans.
Yep, exactly.
And it just keeps going and going and going. And there's so many
people. Schist. Yeah.
So they see an army mobilizing within a ravine, and they are scarily close. Several dozen Jejanese walk by, and the fact that they have been reestablished, that they're not just the bad guys that happen to show up in the Lost Hero, but they are Gia's standard issue bad guys. I like that they are basically her putties from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or just they're made of dirt, they're the bad guys in everything, default villain. We're always rocking with some of these dudes.
Very easy to defeat. Yeah.
Hazel knew them by name and said them by name. So Percy asks, oh, have you fought them before? And I like that Percy, like, that's the only way she would know about them. Percy, like, big fighter guy's like, oh, you fought them before. Yeah, really?
Yeah.
It's normal for everyone to be like me. But she says, no. She just learned about them at camp. And she lets us know, as the narrator, that she never really enjoyed monster class. She thought that the writings of people like Pliny the Elder were so outlandish that they were probably just rumors. But then as narrator, Hazel says, quote, now a whole army of those rumors was marching by.
Army of Rumors. It's a band name or something. That's great.
Well, that's the album name, right? Of
Rumors is an album.
It's the
not an army. It is the album. Yeah. Fleetwood Mac.
So she says that the Jegenes fought the Argonauts, and then she points out the centaurs behind them, which confuses Percy because he thought that centaurs are supposed to be the good guys. And Frank is very floored. He is flabbergasted at this notion, saying, oh, that's not what we were taught at Camp Jupiter. He then describes that centaurs are unruly and they often get drunk and kill heroes. And I'm thinking, oh, party ponies gone wrong. Party foul ponies. Yeah. When I thought of that joke on the Amtrak today, did a little fist bump. Hazel studies them and realizes that they have bull horns, and she asks if that's normal. Frank posits that they could be some sort of special breed of centaurs. I will have to ask Dr. Moya if this is a thing or just some little flavor text of like, it's okay, if we kill these centaurs later in the battle, we won't feel bad. They have evil people horns, man.
Yeah.
Percy then notices Cyclopes, and he looks downtrodden. An interesting note is that the Cyclopes that are here, there are both male and female ones. So I'm thinking, oh, are we going to get a return of Ma Gasket, which I wrote as a joke? But we will continue to cover chapter 20. Percy is really bothered by this army, so much so that Hazel notices that he's looking and acting quite different. And she thinks that it's got to be his memories trying to spring back to the surface, and it's just not affecting him well.
Does he miss his brother?
Oh, could
so
be that.
Sweet.
Yeah. Hazel suggests to Frank that they get Percy back to the water to make him feel better. And I like that this is just like a back and forth act of like, oh, Hazel doesn't like the water, bring her to land. Oh, and then we got to get Percy back in the water. What's the Frank thing? Like, we got to get him to a pile of rubber so he can't burn.
Yeah.
Quick, to one of those playgrounds where they chop up tires and put under the ground.
I'd love to go to one of those. Those are fun.
Quick, to the Jiffy Lube. Yeah. So they say, let's get it back to the water. Frank thinks that that's a great plan and adds that they got to warn the camp about this. But Percy, even though he's writhing in pain, is like, Raina already knows about it. Don't worry. Hazel feels filled with despair because she knows that Camp Jupiter cannot defeat this army. It's just too large. And narrator Hazel then says, quote, then she saw the giant. And she describes it. He was taller than the siege tower, 30 feet at least, with scaly reptilian legs, like a Komodo dragon from the waist down, and green-blue armor from the waist up. His breastplate was shaped like rows of hungry, monstrous faces, their mouths open as if demanding food. His face was human, but his hair was wild and green, like a mop of seaweed. As he turned his head from side to side, snakes dropped from his dreadlocks. Viper dandruff. Gross. I like that. Hazel's got some jokes. His armor reminds me of...
Oh, wait, Hazel said that?
Yeah,
I thought you were saying that.
No. Narrator Hazel.
She's not even a professional comedian.
I know, and I am. But she's got some jokes. I like that the armor with the screaming mouths and stuff, it reminds me of, I will say this in a non-spoiler way, but there's like a particular set of armor you can get in Baldur's Gate 3 that has vibes like this, and I'm like, yeah, cool.
It reminds me of Compy, right? With the like heads coming out. Yeah.
But also, the snakes, it's always snakes. It's always snakes. The evil people, it's always snakes.
I mean, did you read the Bible?
I did go to Catholic school from K through 12, so...
So you know about the snakes.
I know about at least one. Yeah. His weapons are a massive trident and weighted net, and narrator Hazel about this says that she'd faced that type of fighter in gladiator training many times. It was the trickiest, sneakiest, and most evil combat style she knew. This giant was a supersize Retiarius, which I took Latin in high school, but I don't know the translation.
She also fought Russell Crowe in gladiator training.
She's going to be in Gladiator too.
Yeah. Paul Mescal, that's right, not Russell Crowe.
Hazel guesses that that this is the giant that Terminus mentioned, Polybites. She can feel his aura and has flashback feelings to when she was in the heart of the earth with Alcyonius. It's like he has his own gravitational pull, which is a very cool villainous thing to have. Just one of those descriptions where you know what she means, but you've never experienced it, but you can kind of guess what it would feel like. It's, I think, very well crafted by Rick.
Yep.
She wants to leave, but she has the feeling that something important is about to go down, so she watches a bit longer, and Chiron fist pumps in the distance. A female Cyclops approaches this general of sorts and begins discussing getting food at the convenience store on the top of a nearby hill.
Would Chiron not be upset about her watching longer because she's going to get more info about the plot?
Oh, see, that's the thing. I think he's just fully invested in the story being good, whether it's delaying
Oh.
things or he's just invested in a captivating novel.
Okay. I always thought he just wanted to delay and make sure that we didn't find things out.
He understands when he needs to ramp things up.
Okay. As the puppet master.
Well, yeah, I mean, like at the end of book one where he's like, here, Piper, get in here and FaceTime your dad. Like, he's ready to move things along. Like, that's the end of the book. Wrap it up. Come on.
Yeah, okay.
So a group of this army marches towards the store, but halfway through, a blinding light causes the army to scream in pain and disperse in chaos. One screams, "Too pretty, burns our eye!" Narrator Hazel then says, the store on the hill was encased in a rainbow, closer and brighter than any Hazel had ever seen. The light was anchored at the store, shooting up into the heavens, bathing the countryside in a weird kaleidoscopic glow. So my only thought here, Goddess of the Rainbow, this has got to be an Iris situation.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like a pride thing. We're in the Bay Area, right?
We are in San Francisco.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. There's rainbows everywhere there.
This convenience store was in the Castro district.
Yeah.
Lady Cyclops tries to hit the rainbow with her club, and her whole body begins to steam. And while steaming, she starts screaming, quote, "Horrible goddess, give us snacks," which is a vibe that I feel from time to time.
Homophobes, a lot of them.
Oh, God. Some giants charge, they have the same effect. Others throw things and they all just burn in various flames of pretty different colors. So the giant leader, Polybites, halts them so that they stop wasting all of their supplies. And then he steps forward and demands that the goddess emerge and surrender. But there's no answer. So then he demands again, and a small dark object emerges. And Polybites thinks that it's a grenade, and he yells it as such, and everybody hits the deck, but it turns out just to be a ding-dong.
Again, in keeping with the, Bay Area queer theme, this is just continuing. Ding dong, come on.
So we get a hostess mention, pretty fun. This has got to be one of those top, for all of the international translations. I don't know that hostess is international beyond, Twinkies. So I wonder if in other countries, if instead of a ding-dong, it says something else. Like in the Dutch
what does
one,
a ding-dong look like?
A stroopwafel.
Wait, what do they look like?
They're like the chocolatey discs with white cream in the middle.
Oh, I was thinking of a Twinkie. That's why I made
yellow with the white cream in the middle.
Yeah.
At first, I was thinking of what's the is it Rolo or what's the Ho-Ho? Thank you, of the rolled up ones.
Yeah.
No. And then I could get into all the tasty cake stuff, and the Drakes. We could get in the Crimpets. We could go down a whole rabbit hole of snacks here. But ding dong is funny, and it's also the funniest word, so well chosen by Uncle Rick.
Yeah, I want to see the Dutch version.
Please, international listeners, write in. I would love to hear what things they do. And I don't know, the British one, it's like a bag of prawn chips.
Yeah.
So, turns out to be a ding-dong. Polybides is offended at the ding-dong and throws it back like he's in the outfield of a baseball game and the away team, the visiting team hit a home run and he chucks it back onto the field. So in sports sometimes, the Lady Cyclops thinks that they should attack in retaliation, but Polybites shoots this idea down because they are already running late and Alcyonius wants them to attack this camp in 4 days' time. He says that they cannot be bogged down dealing with minor goddesses. So if it wasn't painfully obvious enough that this is Iris, it's Iris very clearly here, unless there's some other minor goddess rainbow person that I am missing.
Minor goddess, not a bad drag name.
Minor goddess?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Now, much to my delight, Ma Gasket has returned. I'm so excited. Ma Gasket was so much fun as a henchman in the last book. So for Ma Gasket to make a reappearance, I think is fantastic. I'm all about it. So Ma Gasket is back. She says that she wants vengeance against the orange and purple ones who destroyed her home. And she did this out loud and also referred to Leo, Jason, and Piper by name. And that could prove to be very spicy if our team heard this, and guess what? They did. And I'm glad that she did this. And I also think it's kind of funny that Hazel immediately is just like, this is our Jason. No one on Earth, no one else is named Jason. That's not a common name at all.
Yeah, I mean, she grew up in the 40s, right? So not a lot of Jasons back then.
Ooh. All right, we got to go. Jason, birth, name, popularity. Let's see. Jason, popularity for the name Jason. Whoa, okay. In 1940, 0.008%. It reached its peak in 1974, 3.359%. And then...
What? 1 in every 25 babies was named Jason?
I believe in the United States.
Well, yeah. That's a lot of Jasons.
Oh, it's got this website. I didn't use this one when we were picking out names for our little one, and I was making sure that she wasn't also going to be a Michael, where her first name is just an underscore. But they've got all these different countries. It did well in Australia. Not very popular. Not very popular. Jason. Not very popular in Brazil. Later blooming in Canada than in Australia.
Ooh,
wow, this could be the whole podcast. Johnny, just 1-star reviews.
Yeah, I'm turning off the whole world to this podcast.
It dipped its lowest in 1990 and started to resurge throughout the 90s, and then it has trailed off ever since. So thank you.
But now it's like Jason, like J-A-Y.
That's why it's
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, Jaysin.
Yeah, Jason.
God. Gosh, white people, what are we doing? But I do like that Ma Gasket has done this. It's fun for plot purposes, but it is just kind of funny that you just gotta instantly think if you're Hazel, this is the one guy that I know named Jason. So Hazel becomes very excited at the prospect of not only Jason getting name dropped, but the fact that Ma Gasket is complaining about being defeated by Jason. That makes her think, oh, he might still be alive. That's good. So Jason might still be out there. Frank agrees and then asks if those other names ring any bells. Hazel says that she hasn't heard them before. Percy is too sick to answer, but he doesn't show any signs of recognition, according to narrator Hazel. I don't know how you would writhe in pain and then also be like, kind of. I feel like I'm a Leo. Yeah, so.
Wait, but in this part, isn't Percy also like, orange? I know that color, orange, because the shirts, right?
No, so he doesn't say it. Hazel.
Oh, okay.
But that would be very funny if he's like, remember, guys, I had that orange shirt, but the letters had faded, right? Remember? Am I an orange one? Yeah. But Hazel thinks that the orange of the orange and purple ones is probably relevant to Percy since he arrived at camp in a tattered orange shirt.
Similar to Jason, no other orange in the world. Yeah.
People don't just wear orange. I mean, I think for her specifically, it was the combo of like purple and orange ones. We wore purple, he wore orange. But yeah, it is kind of funny if like no one wears orange shirts. Polybides then sniffs about and states that he smells the sea god, and Ma Gasket thinks he's being thick because they're near the ocean, so of course he smells the sea god. But he says, no, I think it's more than just that. And he adds, for the reader that might not know, he was born to destroy Neptune. So that makes his hair and the seaweed vibes, like it makes that make sense that we've seen that all of these giants have a particular god that they're trying to defeat. His is Neptune. So,
which god would you try to defeat?
Ooh, like who would I be the thwarting of? I mean, I guess the thing is they still kind of mimic that person. So it's not necessarily like an opposite. So if I was picking, I guess I might be the same thing because I've decided that my cabin, if I was in Camp Half-Blood, would be Poseidon. So I guess I would be a conquering of Neptune as well. What about you?
I don't know. I didn't think this far ahead. I'm going to go with the opposite approach and say Ares because I'm a lover, not a fighter.
There you go. Nice. Ma Gasket asks if they plan to march forward or to sniff the air. So Polybites then snarls and decides, okay, fine, we'll march. And I was like genuinely very tense that he was gonna like see them and then they would do the whole like, and like trying to duck and hide down and be like, no, nothing to see here. Blah, blah, blah. Or like Percy would groan really loudly. And I was genuinely very tense.
Right when they start to move, Percy,
because I could feel that this was going to be the end of the chapter, and I was like, okay, like this could be one of those we end with, and then Polybides saw us. So like it could have been real bad news, especially with Percy basically being out of commission. So I was genuinely scared when this took place.
Well, when I read that part, I was just like, we're really taking orders from Ma Gasket now? Like, was she?
Yeah.
I didn't realize she like wears the pants around here.
At least she's higher ranking. Maybe like she's the leader of the Cyclopes, and you know he's like overall, but she's like the head of that division of the
like
army.
an admiral or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
All I know is that Captain Crunch is not the highest level. There's one higher
Crunch?
captain.
There's one higher Crunch.
There's one higher Crunch. Is it admiral? What's higher than captain? Admiral, thank you. Great, cool. Yes.
I heard like 4 different words. I don't know.
Someone said a lot, and I didn't know. So Captain Crunch is now he's got to up his game.
Any Pentagon workers here? Yeah.
Stop focusing on cereal and get your ships in order.
Yeah.
So Polybides snarls and says that they will march. Before leaving, however, he pulls 3 snakes from his hair, and they are larger than most of the other ones that have been in his hair, and they have white marks around their necks, and he bellows, "A gift, goddess! My name, Polybides, means many to feed. Here are some hungry mouths for you. See if your store gets many customers with these sentries outside." So, very interesting. We'll see how this shakes out.
Okay, so Polly is the many. Yeah. And then what's the feed part? The
Butties.
But yeah.
I don't know. Look, I didn't take Greek in high school.
Did you take a language?
One. Yeah, but when they took the names, they just kind of stole them from the Greek ones. So I don't know.
Anyway, I think the giants are Greek names, aren't they?
Well, yeah, right. But the Latin ones, I feel like he's. I'll ask Dr. Moya. But I think they're Greek because it is a lot of like copying. Like it's not necessarily like the goddess where there's like Ares and Mars. Like I think they took like the Greek myth of Alcestis. Right. Copy paste. Yeah. They copy paste and they were just like, oh, we can't change this. We'll just leave it. Just leave it.
Yeah.
So he leaves these snakes. The armies then leave and the rainbow shuts off. And I did just imagine like a lamp like noise happening when it does. Frank then goes, that was different.
It was new. It wasn't weird.
It was new. Percy shudders, and Hazel knows that he needs help of some sort. So I'm screaming to my book, go to the store. It's more fun than going to the water. She thinks that they should go to the water, but it's far. The carpoi may return and reform, and it's getting really dark. She doesn't love the idea of journeying to the boat in the middle of the night, so she suggests that they go to the store and they seek the help of whatever minor goddess of the rainbow happens to be inside.
And or drag queen.
Frank worries about the snakes and the burning rainbow, which makes me think, I don't know enough about Iris, but it seems like Iris could be maybe like a Greek-only one, kind of like how we have a Roman-only one where they have like a goddess of war. So maybe there is no Roman rainbow goddess. So maybe this is like a new thing for him, but he doesn't seem to like pick up on the clue of rainbow. So he's just worried about the burning rainbow. Percy then starts to shake like he has hypothermia. Hazel says that they gotta try. And then Frank says, quote, well, any goddess who throws a ding dong at a giant can't be all bad. Let's go. I like that Frank recognizes the comedic move of potentially Iris to throw a singular ding-dong to feed an army. He's got good comedic chops here. There's been good comedic chops throughout this whole chapter, and the chapters leading up to it as well. It's been a real good run, and that is the end of chapter 20, which I have retitled Ding Dong Ditch. There's a ding-dong, they're in the ravine, they leave.
I got nothing. Ding dong ditch is, yeah, it's perfect.
That is the end of this portion of the episode. If you're listening after the fact, we'll take a quick break and then we'll get back into the Q&A. So let's again say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye, podcast people.
Hey, it's Mike from the future here again, just with a couple of notes about this episode, and then afterwards we're going to take another ad break since this is such a long episode. We've got good news and bad news. The bad news is that the video component that I tried to do for patrons where I've been putting cameras on tripods and stuff and filming some of the live shows, the file got corrupted. I don't know what happened. I tried all these different fixes. Nothing worked. So Ricky's hard work, which you'll hear me thank him at the end of the episode, it unfortunately didn't end up panning out. I don't know what happened. I'm really sorry. I tried my best. Now let's go with the good news. The good news is I have put up something on Patreon in the Q&A, which rips. The Q&A is really good. Sherry ran it, and the crowd, there were so many people, so there's so many questions, and Sherry was able to filter through and find the best ones. So it's a really, really solid, like 30-minute Q&A. You got to check it out. But there's a question where someone asks me to come up with PJO drag names, and I have a really hard time coming up with ones that are all ages appropriate because it was an all ages show and I didn't want to fill the ears of innocent children with smut. So I have put a post on the Tino Patreon of all of the really dirty ones that were filtering through my brain on stage at the time. So if you want to check that out, head on over to the Patreon and it'll be available for all TNO tiers. Now at this point, we're going to take a break for some more of those dynamically inserted ads, and then once they are complete, we will conclude this episode of TNO with a super fun Q&A. Let's get into Q&A. Sherry, come on up and let's do Q&A. Give it up for Sherry, everybody. Your microphone's down there in the corner, over there by the pillar.
I just looked around to see what he was typing, and he was texting Kelly. He simply can't stop.
Look, she's putting the baby down. I'm making sure everything's going okay with my small child. Kelly's been an absolute champ to facilitate all of this. But anyway,
half
Sherry.
Podcaster, half dad, full hero.
Full nerd. But yes, let's get into as much Q&A. We got time for like a bunch, so let's do a bunch.
The first one is not a question.
Okay.
It's just an explanation of the plight of wheat in the 1980s.
Great, good. Let's go. Very important. Very important. Who is this from? Did you look it up?
Bethany.
Bethany. Thank you, Bethany.
Just wanted to let you know that in the 1980s, the wheat industry was impacted by a grain embargo imposed by President Carter. The U.S. used food as a weapon against the USSR.
Oh, damn. Look how much learning we've done tonight. Wow. Awesome. Okay, thank you, Bethany.
Okay, how did Bethany know? Bethany, how'd you know?
The first question is from Robert and Sam. I believe it's one of their birthdays.
Both?
Both
You've done it. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
So the question is, if the PJO and HOO characters played instruments, what would they play?
Ooh, if they played instruments.
Also, Sam plays saxophone and Robert sings.
Nice. Cool. I would say Percy feels like a drums guy.
For sure.
Feels like a drums guy.
I feel like Grover would probably play the reed
Oh my
pipes.
God.
Harmonica?
I feel like, sorry, what did you say?
Harmonica.
Harmonica? Oh, yeah, that's good if we're picking like a more normal instrument. Michael Yu feels like the lyre. Let's see. Clarice feels like guitar, just like a very distorted guitar. Nico feels like guitar as well, maybe bass, because it's like all. Oh no, Thalia is a bassist for sure. Thalia's playing bass. Nico could just be the lead singer in an emo band.
Yeah, like Gerard Way. I was just gonna say Gerard Way.
Let's see. Any HOO folk? Jason plays an acoustic guitar because he's an American.
Leo does the non-drum set percussion, like everything from like the triangle to the tambourine to that. Exactly.
The drum pads. Piper. I mean, Piper's probably a singer as well because they talk about like her having like the most powerful voice.
Annabeth plays the clarinet because Kelly plays the clarinet.
I like that. I'll roll with that. Kelly would be very happy about that. Yeah, a lot of good options.
And then this question is a good follow-up from Maria.
Okay.
If the boys of HOO formed a boy band, what would their boy band name be?
Oh, the boys of HOO. Okay, so that means so far we've got Percy, Jason, Nico, Frank.
Armies of rumors?
Leo. Sorry. And Leo. Leo's gonna be the producer. He's doing all that behind the scenes. Okay, so those boys are forming a boy band. Did you say something while everyone was yelling at me that I forgot about?
Yeah, I said Army of Rumors, which was
Rumors.
the aforementioned band name.
Yeah. Man. I kind of, it's something like about how it's surprising that they are teenage demigods and they've still made it. Like some sort of reference of like, I don't know, like happy to be here. Like,
Why Are We Here?
What I say?
Why Are We Here?
Why are we here? Yeah.
Their first album is I Never Wanted to Be a Demigod.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Some sort of thing in that regard.
There were several questions of very similar veins, but this one had a good subject line. Let's build a cabinet in Virginia, not from IKEA.
Okay.
Since we're in DC, if Rick Riordan was president, which PJO/HOO characters would be in his cabinet?
Whoa.
And for what departments?
Okay. Let's see. Annabeth.
That was from Maddie and Nina and others.
So let's say Annabeth, Secretary of Defense, right? Planning, Athena, like war, but brains and stuff.
Hazel, Secretary of the Treasury.
That's good. I guess I could go a couple different directions for like Director of Transportation, because isn't like Hermes the god of travelers and stuff? Even though we have Apollo with like the car and all.
No, I feel like Luke is probably transportation.
Oh God.
I know.
Fine. And then
We went from Pete Buttigieg to Luke.
wild.
These people all get that here because they're all in the know. They're in the beltway.
Like, EPA could be Percy because of like saving the oceans and stuff. And then FDA would be Katie Gardner because of Demeter, food, grain, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Grover, Secretary of the Interior, obviously.
Oh.
Because that's like the parks and stuff.
I like that. Let's see. Education. Chiron, I guess?
Linda McMahon.
Who?
I said Linda McMahon.
Oh, God. State. Secretary of State.
Also Annabeth?
Yeah. You might be very busy, Annabeth. You're one of the few very competent folk. Yeah. It feels like we got a pretty robust cabinet there.
This one's from Yael.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
If you had to rename other villains to similar sounding foods a la enchiladas, what would you name them?
Okay. So we're changing villain names to sound like foods because we've given up on pronunciations. Okay, let's see. Who are some Alcyonius? What does Alcyonius sound like? Alfredo. Polybites would be like, gosh, that's tough. Polybites?
Polenta.
Polenta. Good.
You guys are better at this than me.
Let's see. Who is Porphyrion? Could be like pork. Like pork loin or something. Pork loin. And then who are some other ones? Ma Gasket. If I couldn't read Ma Gasket, that would be tough. Like, I don't know, marinara. I don't know. Any other, what are some other?
I'm trying to think one for
names?
Kronos.
Kronos. Just could be Cronut. That's good. Cronut. Yeah.
What is a cronut?
Is
it a cruller donut?
No, like a croissant donut. Yeah. Cruller donut is just a cruller because that's just a type of donut.
Yeah, that's
I used to think they were the
subset.
same thing.
What's up?
I used to think they were the same thing.
That a cruller and a cronut were the same?
A cruller and a cronut or a cruller and a donut?
A cruller and a cronut.
Learning a lot here at the show tonight.
Well, I used to think that there was no wheat problem in the 80s. So.
And now we've learned. Yeah, it feels like a good list of food guessing and giving up on pronunciation names.
This one's from Lisa. Drag names for the characters so far.
Drag names for the new characters. Okay, drag names is not necessarily a strong suit, but it's mostly just like puns and then usually kind of like a play on either like something risque or being fabulous, right? Okay. So let's see.
I don't want to say it.
Yeah, we got to keep the hard thing is we got to keep it all ages. Oh man, damn, that's a really good Piper one, but it's not all ages.
I have a really good Leo one, but it's maybe all ages. I don't know what kids are allowed these days.
This is so hard.
Breastus.
Breastus instead of Festus. Okay, that's all right. Oh, that's so hard. God, I can only think of really dirty ones. This is a problem.
Gason.
Yeah, look, I said that was possible. It was in there. Oh, God.
Can't wait to hear all these
Is there
later.
anyone under 18 here right now? Yeah. Damn. Okay. All right. No, I'm not gonna do it.
I don't know if this is a good drag name, but Nico rhymes with Pico, so just Pico de Gallo.
Cool. Love it. We'll take it.
No, you're thinking of the food question.
Yeah. If I think we'll come back. If I think it's more, we can come back to it. But for now, it is all just gross, and I don't want to do that and make everything hard for all of the parents with their children in the grass.
This is from Katie, who rode the metro for over an hour to be here.
Oh, dedication! Thank you so much. And shout out to Ed. Who came from like far away? Yeah, cool. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Okay, that's super far.
That's as far as it can be.
That's quite far. Dedication. But no, keep in mind, you may have seen we announced.
In the email said they came from Spain.
Spain? Germany? My God.
What?
Did you like buy tickets to like Vienna and you're like, damn it. Well, I might as well go. But for folks that like came around from like nearby American cities and stuff, we do have a Baltimore and a Richmond show coming up in the near future. So keep that in mind for future nearby area stuff. But shout out for coming on the metro for a long time.
And
yeah, cool. Yeah, now how do you feel about bragging about that?
Someone else took the metro from Germany.
And the question is, how would you rank the grain spirits from most to least intimidating?
Ooh, okay. So the only ones that were really like named, it was barley, sorghum, and wheat, right?
Wheat,
yeah. Wheat, I feel like... Stevia, yeah, I was in. I think wheat would go for most intimidating just because he seemed to be the most put together. I would put barley at the least intimidating because barley was the one that was like giving up all of the plot twist stuff. And I would put sorghum in the middle, partially because I don't think they did anything, and partially because, like, let's be honest, I don't really know what sorghum is.
That's what I was going to say. It's the most intimidating because I don't know what it is.
No idea what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's keep the education
it's sweet
going.
And from Africa is all I know.
It's what? Sweet and from Africa. Sorghum, Googling.
That's what I learned in high school.
Sorghum is a cereal grain that is used in many ways, including as animal feed, in baking and brewing, and as a meat extender. It is a large stout grass that grows up to 2.4 meters, 7.9 feet tall. It has large bushy flower heads or panicles that provide an edible starchy grain with up to 3,000 seeds in each flower head. It grows in warm climates worldwide for food and forage. Sorghum is native to Africa with many cultivated forms. It's also called broom corn. So I'm still putting that in the middle, purely just based on the spirits. Sorghum seemed to just be like standard issue, wasn't screaming, wasn't giving away the goods. That's how I feel. What's your ranking?
I mean, sorghum's most intimidating because I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Sorghum's also what I get when I eat too many gummy bears.
Boo. Oh, okay. Mr. D's drag name is Mr. D, but it's spelled like mystery, but it's like with Y, so it's like Mr. D instead of mystery.
There's a heavy double entendre there.
It's at least not bad like the other ones that I thought of. Anyway, questions.
This question's from Ethan and Emma, whose subject line is, "You're the schist."
Oh, nice. Good.
We saw you in Doylestown and are so happy to see you in our hometown now. We'd like to know if each of our HOO characters played for an MLB team, which team would they play for, and what would their walk-up music be?
That's very good. Okay. So MLB is Major League Baseball.
And baseball is...
Okay, so PJO and HO characters playing... Okay, Percy has to play... Annabeth obviously playing for the New York Yankees. Her walk-up music would be... Oh, it would be Independent Women by Destiny's Child. Percy...
Mariners.
Oh, okay. And then his walk-up music would be just various songs by the White Stripes, since canonically he thinks all other music is schist, except for the White Stripes. So then, let's see. Tyson, he could play for the Guardians, because they're like giant. And his walk-up music would just be, I feel like he would just pick like very like goofy things, like he'd walk up to like Baby Shark and the Crazy Frog song.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Grover obviously is going to walk up to Hillary Duff, So Yesterday, or the Jesse McCartney song, Beautiful Soul. What team is he going to play for? What's like the most...
I've been thinking about that.
The most naturey...
Maybe one of the birds. Maybe like the Cardinals?
Yeah, we can give him the Cardinals, sure.
Yeah, not the Orioles, even though they're just down the road.
Then, let's see. Leo, but there's not really any like...
Houston, Astros.
The Astros? Oh, okay, yeah, all right, sure. His walk-up music would be... Maybe he doesn't seem like country. He feels like more of like, oh, he would walk up to Lowrider because he's like, it's about cars. Yeah. This is a fun question. I like this. Jason. Oh, he would. Okay, who's the most American? The Nationals? Yeah, like it's the Nationals, but that's not the most American MLB team.
It might be the Red Sox.
The Red Sox? No, let's give them the Nationals because it's American and we're in the hometown. We'll just give it to that. And then
what about Piper?
Wait, hold on. What song is Jason walking up to?
The
He's like Born in the USA. The Star Spangled Banner. Proud to be an American.
That's right. That's right.
Don't want to be an American idiot.
Let's see. No, he would never. He loves America too much. Piper. Let's see. Piper. Who's the most fabulous team? The Dodgers, I guess. And then her walk-up music would be, I don't know, like some like power ballad, like Adele or a Taylor Swift song or something like that. Let's put Luke on the Red Sox because I hate them. Any other baseball stuff coming to mind?
What would Luke's walk-up song be?
All of the
Brat, the whole album.
Good. And then obviously all of the children of Gaia would play for the San Francisco Giants. Naturally.
Oh, very nice.
That's right there. Nico. Who's the moodiest?
The Pirates.
The Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah, and it's just all MCR.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the entirety of Welcome to the Black Parade.
He's like, you must play the full album. You don't get it, guys. You have to listen to the full album before I can swing. Yeah.
I love that album so much. I don't know if you knew that about me. I love it so much.
This is good. I like this. I feel like we've checked a lot of... Oh, Hazel. The Diamondbacks, thank you. That is the correct answer. That's very good. Walk-up music for Hazel.
It has to be old.
One more time?
It has to be old.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, like...
But and also like New Orleans-y, like it's like a live recording of when the Saints come marching in. Walking like...
That's good. Big band,
She wears like the old school Babe Ruth pants, like the knickers. She's got stirrup socks.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, that's a super fun one, but let's keep on going. We got time for more.
This question is from Andrea or Andrea.
From
Andrea.
the patron. Great, love it, cool. Thank you so much.
It's a collaborative question from the table.
Ooh, the whole table teamed up. Look
at
at this. Congratulations, table over here. I like we have different table teams. We have this table team all coming together, and then there's table that's sitting with Johnny's mom over there. Great vibes. The vibes here, electric.
My mom made friends with the whole table, from what I understand.
Yeah, Johnny's mom was gonna come back to the green room to hang out with us before the show, but she was like, I made friends with all the people sitting near me. Yeah.
So the question is, if the main TNO characters were Pokemon gym leaders, what types would their gyms be, and who would their star Pokemon be?
Okay. I can only do the original 151 because I'm a purist.
Jason Pikachu.
Oh, God, yeah, he has to. I mean, it works for Lightning and being, straight down the middle.
Yep.
So Lightning, Steph, Pikachu.
This is kind of like obvious, right?
Piper, Jigglypuff, obviously. And then I guess, what would that be? Normal type? So just kind of like, she's got all the different, pretty ones. Oh, Leo, Dragon type because of Festus. Mm-hmm. But he would pick Onyx, I guess. Because
Dragonite.
Oh, yeah, but I was trying to think Onyx is kind of mechanical. But isn't there Steelix, right? There's a Steelix.
Not in the original one.
I know, but it works so well. It works so well. We gotta do it.
Nope, not allowed, cheater.
No, come on. Let's see. Percy, obviously a water type. He would probably pick Gyarados or something.
Yeah,
because he would
I feel
want
like Percy's more of a Buizel or a Floatzel. But I know that's Gen 4.
Look, the younger folk in the crowd will appreciate
what
it.
Did you just
This is
say?
why we have Gen Z correspondent Sherry Quo on the stage.
Well, I'm also thinking about how all the gym leaders have 3 terrible Pokemon that are way down level, and then the one that's super aggro.
Right.
So Percy would just have 3 Magikarps.
and then a Gyarados.
And then a Gyarados, yeah.
Grover would obviously be a grass type, and then have all sorts of woodland creature ones and stuff. Just very
Gen 2. I knew
What is
Sudowoodo?
He's like the tree.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, Clovis, Snorlax.
Yes, good. I guess again a normal type. There's no sleep type.
Well, there's a hypno too.
Oh, that's
Psychic.
good.
Yeah.
Psychic
And drowsy?
psychic type. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
floaters. Nico would have to be like a ghost type or like the dark.
Yeah,
type,
Haunter
and
for
then,
sure.
Yeah,
Haunter and
yeah.
Gengar and Ghastly and all those punk rock ones. He would have like Cubone and all that.
God, Clovis's gym is stacked.
Yeah.
Or
Clovis
does Nico
is-
have one of like the abracadabra ones?
Oh,
Because they like
Alakazam.
yeah, they sort of shadow travel, but they like
Teleport.
They do the
Teleport,
teleport.
thank you.
Oh, right. The shadow travel teleport. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, wow. Okay. Many different options. Cool.
it wasn't obvious I like Pokemon.
No, hey.
Oh, Hazel would be like Diglett because it just like pops up from the ground.
Diglett, Dugtrio.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Leo could also have like Magneton and Magnetron.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Wow.
good. All right, cool. Yeah.
Somebody make this.
Voltorb.
Voltorb. Yeah, a lot of options. All right, let's keep it rocking.
This question's from Eleni. I live in Munich, but I booked a flight to the wrong Vienna.
Okay, hold on. What's the story? Did you do it for the bit or do you like have a reason to come to Virginia?
I have a reason to come to Virginia. My family lives
Your family lives here. Okay.
here for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's awesome. But also like still a great bit to be like, going to Vienna, everyone.
If you could erupt into any breakfast cereal or grain product, what would it be and why?
If I could erupt into it. So like if someone hit me with something and I exploded, what
Yeah.
cereal would I turn into? Oh, okay. I would probably, oh man, I really like cereal, so I really want to pick the right one here. I'm gonna pick Lucky Charms because I would like to think that I'm sweet. But secretly, if you look at the nutritional facts of Lucky Charms, it's actually not that bad for you. If you
Real
look at
nerd hours here.
you like compare it to other cereals like Honey Nut Cheerios, which you think would be healthier, but like every single piece of Honey Nut Cheerios is covered in like a honey glaze. So like sugar content of Honey Nut Cheerios is like way higher than Lucky Charms because Lucky Charms, everything that isn't the marshmallows is just like straight up oats. So I would like to think that like I can be wholesome at times and like a good friend, but also I can be sweet at times, marshmallows and be a fun dude. So I would say I would poof into Lucky Charms.
I think Commodore Crunch.
Pretty good.
That's all.
Do you have one, Sherry?
I don't know if this actually lines up, but like Cocoa Puffs, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, just because I'm unhinged.
They're like, I'll take it. I love it. It's great.
Okay, this question is from Elena.
Whoa.
Oh, Elena and Evelyn. Who would be on what team if the characters were drafted for NBA or WNBA teams?
Ah, okay. We've done baseball. Now it's basketball. Another sport.
Oh, and the subject line is a celiac at the grain-themed episode.
Oh, no, I hope you're okay. So, they're going to basketball teams. Percy's going to be on the beloved New York Knicks, of course, obviously. Annabeth too, sure. Let's see, we've got the Magic and the Wizards. Feels like we could have... Someone's got to do some sort of like magic and stuff, right? Who's like the most like magical of the characters? I guess no one just does like straight
Piper?
up magic. Piper? Oh, with like the
Nico?
charm speed?
Actually, this is a spoiler, so I'm just gonna
Okay,
keep
yeah,
my
we'll
mouth
just
shut.
zip it. Oh, man. Okay, let's see. Grover, Naturey team. This is hard. Wow, this is way harder than baseball. Why is this so much harder?
I was gonna say I have a thought on Frank, but I can't tell you.
Okay, I will say, I mean, could be like the Miami Heat because of Flame. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you could put...
Frank needs to be on anyone but the Heat, to be clear.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
yeah,
He needs
yeah.
to not be on the Miami Heat. You could put Hazel on like the Mavericks or something. It seems like a horse is in her future. So she could be on the Mavericks. So she's got a horse team. And then, you could put Typhon or some of the Wind Gods. They could be on the Seattle Storm, a WNBA team. So that could be good. Also, the Wind Gods could be on the Sky. Any Child of Apollo could be on the Connecticut Sun. Wow, that's way easier with WNBA teams. All the Greek people could be on the new team, the Golden State Valkyries.
Jason on the New York Liberty.
Yeah, Jason on the New York Liberty. Wow, it's so much easier with WNBA. Medea on the Washington Mystics. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, this is way easier. Oh, yeah. Blackjack on the Dallas Wings. Their logo's literally Pegasus.
No. What about the Aces?
On the Aces?
like cards, blackjack.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
That's really good too. So yeah, maybe Blackjack's on the Aces, but all the other ones are on the Dallas Wings. Leo on the Pistons is very good. Yeah, that's good. That's
so
good. Great.
good.
Awesome. Cool. Let's keep it moving. That's a fun one though.
Okay, this question is one for Mike and one for Johnny.
Okay.
From you included the pronunciation, yet I am failing to read this. Marlena? Okay.
Let's go.
Sorry, I got confused because you included your last name, and I was like, these letters, like, They're not. For Johnny, best place in St. Louis for T-Rabs.
Emos.
T-Rabs, this is
Toasted ravioli. Obviously,
yeah.
I know we all know this, but
It's like if mozzarella sticks instead was ravioli, is how I would describe it.
That's right.
It's like deep fried. They say it's toasted ravioli, but it's deep fried ravioli.
Toasted doing a lot of work there.
Heavily toasted in oil. It's so good though. And when Johnny and I did the live show in St. Louis, we had a bunch of them, and I didn't feel great in the stomach. Like I felt great in the soul, but I was on stage like, all right, so in this Harry Potter thing.
I was there too.
Oh yes, right. Yeah, that was the first live show that you were at. So fun.
And the question for Mike, have you noticed your sneeze has gotten louder since becoming a dad?
Oh. It hasn't. I don't think it has, but I've gained more control over my sneeze. So fun fact, I think I've said this on the podcast, I normally sneeze in sets of 5. Like, like a normal person. But there's been enough times where I'm holding the little one, like cradling her to sleep, and I don't want to sneeze to startle her. So I have been better at like trying to like hold it back and prevent it from happening. But also I do get very proud because sometimes she will sneeze more than once. And if she gets up to like a high number, I'm like, just like Pops, just like her dad. So
There are so many things that I don't think about with respect to babies like that. Like you just like you're holding it and you just can't sneeze. I held my niece for the first time yesterday, which was very sweet. And I like took her from my brother. I like grabbed her and he was like, hold the head. And I was like, I didn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to hold the head. He was like, yeah, they can't keep their head up because they don't have any neck muscles. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, they can't drink water either until they're like.
That was the wildest thing that I
know.
learned. We're in the hospital, they're telling dudes notes like, oh, by the way, like babies can't process water until they're like 6 months old. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's the last thing they tell you, and then they're like, bye.
It's water. Yeah, when they told us to leave the hospital after being there for a couple of days, I was like, I just learned they can't drink water.
Yeah.
You gotta tell me more stuff. That's ridiculous. Wild, absolutely wild.
Also, the existence of my 4-week-old niece implies that my mother over there just became a grandma for the first time, which is very exciting.
Carol! Yeah. Do we have like one final banger of a question to end it on? Because we are just at about time. Is there like one that was like, this is the most fire question, or this is the next one I was going to open? And we'll say it's a super fire. As you stall, I'll direct everyone to your very cool statue pants that you're wearing.
Thank you. My favorite part of Son of Neptune is seeing Percy through everyone else's eyes after being only in his head for 5 books. What have been your favorite moments so far of other characters perceiving Percy, and how has that changed or not your perception of his character as a whole?
Perceiving.
Oh, nice. My favorite thing, and it's because I like when there are things about Percy that are like genuinely I see myself in. So I'm not just like having main character syndrome, but like genuinely it's like, oh, I do that too. What I've really enjoyed and happened in this set of chapters is that Percy has absolutely no poker face. So like every time they mention Leo and someone else is narrating, it's like Percy had a really intense look on his face. Just all that kind of stuff where he's like really bothered by stuff, where he looks like really sad when he sees the Cyclops and the Cyclopes and all that. So I think that that's been fun because obviously when he's the narrator, like something will happen and then there'll be like 5 sentences where it's like, here's all the stuff Percy thought about. And it's good to know that when he's processing, he's not like chill at all. He's like, oh my God, what's going on? And that's like definitely me. I do not have a good poker face when it comes to this. So I've really enjoyed being like, me too, man, me too. What about you?
Well, I like have a very clear favorite here, and it happens much, much later on in this book. And so with like 10 seconds left in this, I would prefer for my trapdoor to remain closed.
Good. We'll keep it nice and ominous, and that can be the way to end the show. Thank you all so much for coming out to the show. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it out. Give it up to Johnny for being an incredible guest. Give it up to Sherry for running the merch table and for running Q&A. You can still swing by the merch table on the way out. Give it up to everyone here at Jam and Java, from Keegan for doing sound and also table delivery, to Izzy for running point. Like everyone doing stuff here was awesome. So shout out to the whole team at Jam and Java. It's been so smooth.
I never got my $300, by the way. Never got my $300.
Shout out to my buddy Ricky, who helped drive us here and set up the camera for the Patreon feed and everything like that. So shout out to Ricky for helping out with some behind the scenes stuff as well. And shout out to Kelly for watching the little one and making me traveling to another state to do a show possible. Huge round of applause for her. This has been an absolute delight. We sold so many tickets. This is like absolutely wild. This turnout's great. I can't wait to come back. You guys are the best. Like, oh, just, this was such a fun crowd, fun hype. I love this. I want to stay as much as I can, but I did promise the venue I'd be off the stage by 10, and it's 10:01, so we gotta go. But thank you all so
give away
much.
the bracelet, give away the bracelet.
Yeah. So I from the last show, some people brought friendship bracelets, and someone made a little TNO DMV keychain. I was gonna give it to the person who came from the farthest way. I feel like this is from Germany person. So I'm gonna leave this over here on like the sound, or like right here in front of the speaker there. Come up and retrieve your I came from the farthest away TNO DMV keychain. But seriously, thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it. We gotta bounce. But until we come back, which we definitely will come back, and we'll see how I theme my outfit for the third time around. Until then, I'll see you later. Thanks so much for coming out, everybody.
Get out of here, you bunch of weeds.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamontes and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you love the podcast and you just can't get enough, there's a couple of different things you can do. First, you can go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon. You can join the Patreon, and you can get access to a whole bunch of fun bonus content. You can also follow us on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. There's also a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. And there's also the TNO Discord, which you get access to by joining any TNO tier on the Patreon. You can learn all about the show at thenewestolympian.com, and you can get some sweet TNO merch at thenewestolympian.com/merch. I've mentioned the Patreon, so let's give a shout out to our producer level patrons: Kelsey Gillespie, The Damn Steam Nuggets, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Sabrina Balsiger, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Josh Wilkie, Abby Ryan, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkoff, Rika, Ryla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, A Cup of Solace, Bradamus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Sophie, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jackson, Han, Haley Hingelheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Jessica Phillips, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kit Kat Crumbs, Andrea, not Andrea, and Jordan Ray. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, just tell someone about the podcast. It really does help a lot, whether that is you reaching out to someone directly who you think might enjoy the podcast. Maybe they're a big Percy Jackson fan. Maybe they've been looking for an excuse to read the books. Or if you post about the show on social media, or you leave us a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. Truly, all of these things help. I really appreciate anyone who has done it in the past, and I also appreciate anyone who will do it in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode, where we will be joined by familiar face, voice, and more, Sherry Guo, as we cover chapters 21 through 24 of The Son of Neptune. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mix. So here in the studio, I currently have a little reusable water. I don't want to say it's a Yeti. I got like a Yeti. It's like one of the coffee ones with like a slidey thing if you're having like a hot drink or something. I'm just going to slide the thing back and forth for the ASMR Mix segment. Thank you so much for listening.